Have you ever had that quiet, nagging feeling that maybe you're just not that smart? Like everyone around you seems to get it faster. They respond quicker. They solve problems in half the time. And you're sitting there thinking, why does it take me so long? Let me tell you something. What if the very things you've been insecure about are actually signs of higher intelligence? What if your brain isn't slow? It's just operating differently. And what if the traits you've been trying to fix are actually the evidence? Stick with me, because what I'm about to share isn't motivational fluff. It's backed by neuroscience, real research, real psychology, and by the end of this, you might see yourself in a completely different light. There are 10 subtle signs that your intelligence is operating on a level most people never recognize. And number 10? It's the one history's greatest minds all had in common. Let's get into it. 1. You talk to yourself. Yeah, I know. It sounds weird. Maybe you mumble through problems. Maybe you rehearse conversations in the shower. Maybe you literally say, okay, think, out loud when you're trying to figure something out. Most people think that's strange. But here's where it gets interesting. Researchers at the University of Wisconsin found that verbalizing your thoughts actually improves cognitive performance. When you speak your reasoning out loud, you activate additional neural pathways. You're not just thinking, you're reinforcing. It's like giving your brain a microphone. And neuroscience shows that when information is both processed internally and expressed verbally, retention increases. Processing speed improves. Complex reasoning becomes clearer. In other words, you're coaching your own mind in real time. Here's something crazy. Some of the most brilliant thinkers in history were known for doing exactly this. Walking around, muttering through equations, talking themselves through theories, breaking problems down out loud. Because intelligence isn't just about silent speed. It's about clarity. And if you've ever caught yourself pacing your room, explaining an idea to no one, or narrating your own thought process, you're not odd. You're optimizing. And this is just the beginning. 2. You overthink everything. You replay conversations in your head. You analyze the tone of someone's voice. You rethink decisions you made 3 days ago. You imagine 50 different outcomes before making one move. And if you're anything like most people, you've probably told yourself, why can't I just turn my brain off? But here's the deal. That constant mental replay, it's not always anxiety. It's analysis. Neuroscientists call this metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking. And this is where everything changes. Most people think thoughts. Highly intelligent people examine them. They step outside their own reactions and ask, why did I say that? What could I have done differently? What's the bigger pattern here? That extra mental layer? It requires more cognitive resources. It's your prefrontal cortex running simulations, testing scenarios before reality does. And yes, it can feel exhausting. But here's what nobody talks about. Overthinkers often spot risks before they happen. They catch subtle inconsistencies others miss. They learn faster from mistakes because they dissect them. The same brain that replays embarrassment at 2 a.m. is the same brain capable of deep strategic thinking. Now, I'm not saying anxiety doesn't exist. It does, and it's real. But there's a powerful difference between spiraling and analyzing. One is fear-driven. The other is awareness-driven. And if your mind constantly zooms out to examine itself, that's not weakness. That's cognitive depth. And wait until you hear how this connects to the next sign. 3. You get bored easily. You start a routine, and within days, it feels suffocating. You sit in meetings thinking, why are we still talking about this? You try repetitive tasks, and your brain just checks out. And somewhere along the way, someone probably labeled you lazy. But here's what most people don't realize. Boredom, in highly intelligent minds, isn't a character flaw. It's a neurological signal. Research in cognitive neuroscience shows that people with higher intelligence often have more active dopamine systems tied to novelty seeking. Your brain's reward prediction circuitry adapts quickly. Once it understands the pattern, the reward drops. In simple terms, when something becomes predictable, your brain stops getting excited. So while others are comfortable doing the same thing over and over, your mind starts scanning for complexity, for challenge, for something new to solve. And that's not immaturity. That's optimization. Your brain craves stimulation because it processes information fast. When tasks don't stretch you, they don't satisfy you. This is why so many intelligent people struggle in rigid systems. Traditional classrooms, repetitive jobs, strict routines, not because they can't perform, but because their cognitive engine is built for exploration. Now here's the twist. That same boredom, it's also the fuel for innovation. When your brain gets tired of the obvious, it starts looking for better methods, better ideas, better systems. And that's exactly how breakthroughs happen. But this next sign, it's the one that confuses people the most. For you doubt yourself constantly. You question your decisions. You second-guess your answers. You wonder if you're actually as capable as people think you are. And sometimes you look around at people who seem so confident, so certain, and you think, why don't I feel like that? Here's the truth. Confidence and intelligence don't always travel together. In fact, psychology shows something almost ironic. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. When someone knows very little about a subject, they often overestimate their ability. They don't see the gaps because they don't know the gaps exist. But when someone knows a lot, they become painfully aware of how much they don't know. And that awareness creates doubt. Let me be straight with you. If you constantly question yourself, it might not mean you're incompetent. It might mean you see complexity. You understand nuance. You recognize variables. You're aware that every decision has layers most people ignore. That doesn't feel empowering in the moment. It feels uncomfortable. But that discomfort is cognitive sophistication. Highly intelligent people often operate with intellectual humility. They think, maybe I'm missing something. What if there's a better explanation? Am I seeing this clearly? And while others speak in absolutes, you speak in probabilities. Now here's the part that hits deep. Self-doubt only becomes dangerous when it paralyzes you. But when it fuels curiosity, when it pushes you to double-check, to research, to refine, that's not insecurity. That's growth in motion. And what's fascinating is, this trait connects directly to how your brain behaves when the world goes quiet. 5. You stay up late. You tell yourself you're going to bed early. You mean it. And somehow, it's 1:37 a.m., and your brain is wide awake. Sound familiar? Most people assume staying up late is just bad discipline, poor time management, a lack of routine. But here's where it gets interesting. Research from the London School of Economics found that individuals who prefer later sleep schedules, night owls, often score higher on intelligence measures. Now, that doesn't mean every night owl is a genius, but it does point to something deeper. Highly intelligent minds tend to resist rigid evolutionary patterns. Instead of following purely instinctual rhythms, they adapt their schedules around thought, creativity, and autonomy. And here's what really matters. Late at night, distractions disappear. No notifications, no meetings, no noise, just space. And in that space, your brain finally gets room to wander. Neuroscience shows that creative insight often emerges during what's called default mode network activation, when the mind drifts freely without external demands. That's when connections form. That's when ideas click. That's when problems you couldn't solve at 3 p.m. suddenly make sense at midnight. Now, of course, sleep is critical. Your brain needs recovery. This isn't about glorifying exhaustion. It's about recognizing a pattern. If your most powerful ideas tend to show up when the world goes quiet, that's not accidental. That's cognitive timing. And this next sign, it explains why silence isn't always peaceful for you. 6. You're sensitive to noise. Not just loud concerts or obvious chaos. I'm talking about the tiny stuff. The ticking clock that no one else seems to hear. The hum of a refrigerator. Someone chewing across the room. A faint vibration in the background that makes it impossible to focus. And you sit there thinking, how is nobody else bothered by this? Here's what's actually happening. Your brain isn't overreacting. It's absorbing more data. Research on sensory processing shows that highly intelligent individuals often display heightened neural responsiveness to environmental stimuli. In simple terms, your brain takes in more information per second, more sounds, more patterns, more subtle shifts in tone. That heightened input helps with pattern recognition. It allows you to notice inconsistencies others overlook. It's why you might pick up on a change in someone's voice before anyone else does. But there's a trade-off. When your brain processes more, it also gets overstimulated faster. So what feels like being sensitive is often just high-resolution perception. Think of it like this. Most people are watching life in standard definition. Your brain? It's running in 4K. More detail, more clarity, more input. And yes, sometimes that means more overwhelm. But that same sensitivity is often what allows you to connect dots faster, detect patterns earlier, solve problems others don't even realize exist. Now here's where this gets even more surprising. The next trait looks like weakness on the surface, but it might be one of the strongest indicators of high intelligence. 7. You procrastinate. You delay starting things. You wait until the pressure is real. You tell yourself, I'll do it later. And somehow later becomes the night before the deadline. And if you're like most people, you've beaten yourself up for it. You've thought, why can't I just start earlier like everyone else? But here's what most people miss. Not all procrastination is laziness. Psychologists at the University of Calgary found that many high IQ individuals engage in what's called active procrastination. This is where everything flips. Active procrastinators aren't avoiding the task because they can't do it. They're waiting. Waiting until the task feels meaningful. Waiting until urgency sharpens focus. Waiting until the stakes activate full cognitive engagement. Highly intelligent brains don't love busy work. They resist low-stimulation tasks. So they delay, not because they're incapable, but because their brain hasn't switched into high-performance mode yet. And when the deadline hits, something clicks. Focus narrows. Distractions fade. Performance spikes. It's like your brain says, okay, now this matters. Now, let me be clear. Chronic avoidance that damages your life? That's something different. That needs structure and support. But if you consistently produce high-quality work under pressure, if you think faster when the clock is ticking, if urgency seems to unlock something inside you, that's not incompetence. That's controlled intensity. Some minds need pressure to ignite. And what's fascinating is, this next sign explains why your brain stores information in such unusual ways. 8. You remember random details no one else does. Not the obvious stuff. Not what everyone saw. I'm talking about the tiny, seemingly useless fragments. The exact date a minor event happened years ago. A line from a documentary you watched once. A random word someone said in passing. And you might catch yourself thinking, why do I remember that? But I can't even find my keys. Here's the science behind it. Your working memory is like a high-speed filing system. It doesn't just store information, it tags it, organizes it, and connects it to patterns. That's why trivial details stick. They're part of a bigger cognitive network your brain is constantly building. This is also why you might struggle with everyday recall. Mundane details don't trigger the same network your brain prioritizes. Think of it this way. Your brain isn't broken, it's specialized. It's designed to notice, store, and retrieve information that helps you see patterns, make connections, and solve complex problems. And here's the kicker. That seemingly useless trivia isn't useless at all. It's a sign your mind is running at a level most people never reach. You might forget your phone on the table, but you'll remember a minor inconsistency in a story from years ago. And that awareness? That's intelligence in action. And speaking of depth, the next sign isn't just about memory. It's about how your mind and heart work together. 9. You feel emotions deeply. Not just a little sadness or happiness, really deeply. You notice subtleties in people's moods. You empathize in situations where others barely register anything. A movie scene, a conversation, or even a fleeting expression can stay with you for days. And sometimes, people tell you, you're too sensitive. Don't take it so hard. But here's the truth. That emotional intensity? It's not weakness. It's neural sophistication. Research in neuroscience shows that individuals with high intelligence often have heightened connectivity between regions responsible for reasoning and emotional processing. In plain English, your brain doesn't just think deeply, it feels deeply too. That combination allows you to understand people, predict outcomes, and make nuanced decisions that others might miss. It's why highly intelligent people can be both analytical and empathetic. Here's the kicker. Feeling deeply can be exhausting, but it also gives you an edge. It's like having an advanced radar system for human behavior. And now, the final sign. The one trait that links every genius across history. The trait that defines the top tier of intelligent minds. 10. You never stop learning. This is the ultimate sign. The one every genius in history shares. You read. You ask questions. You seek better answers, even when you already know enough. It's not about memorizing facts. It's about curiosity. It's about constantly challenging yourself. Think about it. Leonardo da Vinci, Albert Einstein, Marie Curie, what set them apart wasn't raw talent alone. It was relentless learning, a drive to understand, improve, and explore beyond what was comfortable. And here's the most powerful part. If you're watching this right now, trying to understand yourself better, that alone puts you in the top tier of intelligent minds. Because awareness, curiosity, and the desire to grow are hallmarks of high intelligence. It's not grades. It's not test scores. It's not how fast you solve equations. It's about depth of thought, adaptability, and the hunger to know more. So, the next time someone calls you too sensitive, too quiet, or too lost in your head, smile, because that's what intelligence looks like. And if this opened your eyes, hit subscribe, because your mind deserves to keep expanding. Here's the bottom line. Being smart isn't about fitting into a mold. It's not about competing on grades, or rushing through problems, or proving anything to anyone. True intelligence shows up in awareness, in curiosity, in the courage to question yourself, in the drive to keep learning, feeling, and noticing what others overlook. So embrace the traits that make you different. Your late nights, your overthinking, your sensitivity, your curiosity, they're not flaws. They're proof that your brain works on a higher frequency. You're not behind. You're ahead. You're not too sensitive. You're perceptive. You're not lost in your head. You're exploring it. Remember, intelligence isn't a number. It's a journey, a depth, a way of interacting with the world that most people will never experience. And now that you know these signs, notice them, celebrate them, lean into them, because that's what being truly intelligent looks like.